left the teaching profession. I started my own training company. Now, this training process involved not just doing training for students, but for adults as well. I got a chance to work in corporate companies as well. And what was really interesting was, when you meet the corporate companies, and when they talk about hiring people who are fresh out of schools, you have a very lovely young daughter, but can you imagine what life will be like when she goes out to the workplace? We all have parents, we have certain aspirations for our children. We put them through schools, we expect them to get to certain levels of degree, certain level of educational qualification. Now, it is very interesting that when my time, or for most of our times, when we finished our schooling, the fact that you have a very good degree or you got a very good educational qualification literally guarantees you get the job, yes or no? Today is not like that anymore. You having a very good grade is not a guarantee you will get the job. There are other factors that they take into account. And this is where OLS came into being. We realized that there is a problem. The problem is this: I can guarantee you every one of the children here can, up to a certain extent, read and understand, yes or no? Yeah, they all can read, they can understand. So what is it that is stopping them from getting the grade? Why is it that we send them for tuition, we have supplementary classes, we have enrichment classes? Why is it that they still don't get the result that we want them to get? Yeah? And it is no longer a problem of the parents. The kids also, a lot of kids are very, very focused on wanting to do well. Yeah, wanting to do well. In fact, earlier on when we had our session, earlier on with the 4 of them at the back, one of them actually wrote, if life will be good, I'll be happy if I can pass my PSLE. Yeah? So it is not just a dream of the parents, but it's a dream of the child as well, to want to do well. All of us want to do well. Yeah, all of us want to do well. Where is the problem? So we asked ourselves that question and we came up with the fundamental learning component behind this. And the fundamental learning component behind this, if I could use this board. We have skills, which is the knowledge that our schools teach, the information, science, English, maths, okay, the fundamental skills behind what we need. The school teaches us these things. Your tuition centers teaches you these things. Then it comes to that application. Now the idea here is we want you to take those skills and apply. So in exams, PSLE, wouldn't it be good if you get for your exams the same questions you got in class? Fantastic, right? Yeah? That would be ideal, correct or not? But does that happen? No, it does not. You are basically given a new set of questions. Here the idea here is this: I have already taught you how to fish. You go and fish. And if you do it correctly, you listen to me correctly, you should be able to catch that fish. Why is it some people catch it and some people don't? We went and we dug a little bit deeper. We asked ourselves this question: why is it different? Why is it different from our time as students when we are given a problem, how we react to the problem, and how today's children react to the problem? Then we look at the way we were raised, we look at the way they were raised, and we realize that today's technology, today's world is a very highly fast-moving world. Do you know that your children are actually smarter than you? Children, sounds good, right? Diana, immediately her eyes open up big, nice and big. The reason why I'm saying that your children are smarter than you is because when we were their age, we had to process far less information than them. They are processing on an average something like 60 times more information than us. So for us, have you ever tried this line with your kids? My time, during my time, does it work or not, by the way? Doesn't work, right? The minute you do, during my time, the eyes has this glaze and they look at you like as if they are paying attention, but inside their head is like, wait, can you finish the story faster now? 30 many times. Yeah? So that is the truth behind it. Now the reason why that is so is also because they are bombarded visually. You got Facebook, you got social media, you got computers, you got TV. Okay? They do not process information. Kids at the back, how many types of learning styles do we have? 3. What are the 3? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic. or kinetic? Kinesthetic. So we have three types of people. Now our time, we tend to be a lot more auditory based learning. Teacher talk, we shut up, we listen. Right now, that's the way it works. Today, they have to have media, they have to have video, they have to have YouTube, ATube, WhatTube, AnyTube. They have to have all these things. Why? Because they just cannot learn in that one way. So you've got visual. Today's children are what we call indigo children. The term is basically a term to suggest that people today learn very much more visually oriented. They're much more visually oriented. Okay? Then we have the kinesthetic. Okay? I have one of my four at the back. The minute you start teaching something important, the person starts coloring and drawing it himself. See, all laughing because they know exactly who I'm talking about. The minute you do that, what happens as parents and what happens as teachers when we see a child doing that? Do we think that the child is paying attention? No, right? Truth of the matter is, they are what we call kinesthetic learners. That is a possibility. I'm not saying it's no. It could be that the child is not paying attention. It could be true. But it could also be the fact that the child is someone who has this need to multitask, someone who needs to be doing something while they're doing. I was a child out of my time. Why do I mean that? I am a kinesthetic learner. So whenever I have my textbooks, back in those days, our days, textbooks don't have much pictures. Nowadays, their textbook got color, got picture, got everything. Yeah? Mine, this is my typical page, and anywhere where there's blank space, you will see me drawing something or doing something. Every week, without fail, my parents will come down twice, principal's office. Because the teacher give up, say, this guy never pay attention, never pay attention, never pay attention. So when my principal asked the question, why you never pay attention? I turned back, I was very rude back then. So I turned back and said, have I ever failed any exams? So how can you tell me I don't pay attention? For me, if I do this, my ears are listening, I can pay attention a little bit better. Parents, what you may want to do is, you may want to try and watch your children studying a little bit longer. You want to talk to your teachers to find out consistency in the results. Because they could be what we call kinesthetic learners. Yeah? So that is fundamentally where we come. Coming back to OLS philosophy, we realize that there is a gap. There's a gap because we ultimately are preparing our children for life. Right now, all of us want them to have a life better than what we have. I think every parent universally all works in the same principle. So now the question is, if all of us are working on this principle that we want our child to have a better life than us, why is it that when we send them to school, we give them everything they need to know, we take them to people who can teach them how to use it, they still don't get it? The truth of the matter is, it is pretty much a situation in how we raise our children. Today, back in those days, okay, I know my parents, for example, my mom's side, her family was total of 13 children. My dad's side, 9 children. Today's climate, 1, maybe 2. So what happens? We protect the children so much. We don't want them to fall, we don't want them to get hurt. We control processes so much, we influence their decision making so much that we reach a stage where they feel so comfortable. Do you know that to your children, you are superwoman and superman? Do you know that? You know why, right? They don't have to worry about anything. I can tell you from the youngest that I have seen to the oldest, the philosophy is, you can see it just in the way they answer you. When you ask questions, the way they answer you, you can see very clearly, they don't have to worry. Whatever shortcomings they have, my father is there, my mother is there. You get it? So what happens is, there's a gap. And it is this gap that OLS has said, we need to find out what is this gap. And what we have basically done is, we've got to a stage where we identify the gap. And the gap is habits. Habits. We realize that we have not, or we need to teach our kids the habits. When we were growing up,